Hey guys, I'm back with another video on Wonka, directed by Paul King, starring Timothy Chalamet amongst other people, telling the origin story of Willy Wonka. I mean, for anyone who is not familiar with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the story, or the original film from 1971, it's basically the origins of Willy Wonka, the famous chocolatier, and how he started his own candy shop, which would eventually turn into the famous chocolate factory. This more or less covers how he was able to overcome certain obstacles that he faced as he was trying to establish a name for himself, mostly consisting of new characters that I am not really familiar with. I read the original book a long time ago when I was a kid. Besides Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompa character, there's only maybe one other character that has a familiar name, Slugworth. This movie is mostly its own thing. Now, my apologies for getting this out as late as I did. I was gonna try to get it out by Sunday or Monday earlier this week, but out of nowhere, I got smacked in the face with a huge stomach bug. I'm still kind of queasy at the moment, so just bear with me if I seem a little lethargic, but I am back to try to get this up in time for Christmas for you guys, and I may or may not have another Christmas movie review for you coming up soon, involving a certain snowman voiced by Michael Keaton. Not going to cover everything about Wonka, but I might go into minor spoilers, so if you somehow have not seen it, it's almost been a week since its release, there's your warning. Paul King has directed Paddington and Paddington 2, two movies that I still have yet to watch, but from what I saw, they have a very charming, wholesome family feel, especially since they're both set around Christmas time to my knowledge. I think this one is set during Christmas time, or it does have a winter theme to it. Again, I'm still recovering from the stomach bug. I could completely be talking baloney. This has like a very universal type of feel where you can watch it at any time of the year, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And to my surprise, it was actually a very wholesome and charming time at the movies. The audience that I was at seemed to really like it. Certain musical numbers that I thought were going to be really obnoxious actually started to win me over after a while. I usually don't really care for musicals. In fact, if I had to pick a least favorite genre, that would probably be it. But this is one of the few, thankfully, that I'm able to sit through. They don't obnoxiously start to sing right in the middle of a conversation like some musicals have a tendency to do. It's all used at the appropriate moments in order to get us an insight of the characters and progress the plot forward. Timothy Chalamet as Willy Wonka is actually a really big surprise for me. Besides Dune, I also saw him in Interstellar a long time ago where he was the young son of Matthew McConaughey's character. Other than that, I never really saw anything else that he's done, but he has a very certain type of oddity and weirdness to him. Something that I think Willy Wonka is known for, because if you've seen the original where he's played by Gene Wilder, he's kind of odd and peculiar, but he has a very charming type of charisma to him, and Chalamet here is able to really encompass that, but also not copying off of him. Save for a couple lines where he says, strike that, reverse that, an obvious nod to his original counterpart, but I think it's appropriate. I mean, some people might not have a taste for that. I'm completely okay with it because, I mean, if it's a catchphrase that he's known for, it'd be kind of weird if he didn't say it at least once. Throughout this movie, he's very optimistic about where he's going to go in life and how ambitious he is to establish his candy shop, which is a far cry from the type of cynic and jaded soul that we met in the original film. But since this is a prequel of sorts, it makes sense for him to be very youthful and energized and optimistic because he hasn't had the opportunity to go through all the things that he has to do in order to build his empire, if you will. His chocolate empire, I mean. But he runs into various obstacles along the way, scammed by the two heads of the hotel that he owes a lot of money to for certain things that they overcharge him for. The chocolate cartel, led by the infamous Slugworth, which, by the way, those three guys, the villainous presence, they were very cartoony, and I get that it's the point of the movie and it fits the tone, but for me, it was a little too much, especially with the chief of police portrayed by Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele. The way they bribe him with chocolate to the point where he's really on the hefty side, actually way beyond that, that was a little too much. I didn't work for me. It's not in there a whole lot, but after a while I thought, okay, can we just not... Can we move on, please? But I find his relationship with Kala Lane's character Noodle to be a very sweet and endearing type of friendship between the two and not romantic, which isn't a bad thing if they do it. But he helps her go through certain things where she's able to find out the truth about her parents and how they're connected to Slugworth, and she becomes his assistant in helping him build his candy shop and winning the trust of other people in the town, and the backstory that we get with Willy Wonka and his mother and how she was able to inspire him to follow his dream. It led to a very emotionally satisfying arc by the finale, and his mom, played by Sally Hawkins, I think was able to really encompass that sweet motherly son type of bond that he shares with her. I wish that we had more of that, but from what we saw, I think they got the point across. Production design and aesthetically, this movie is really gorgeous to look at. Even though it might look noticeably green screen depending on what the lighting looks like, I found it to be a very good sense of escapism, and if you're someone who's really enamored with the world of Willy Wonka, this movie is gonna do wonders for you. Now, I myself am not like a big fan of the story. I have seen the original film, but it's been a long time since I saw it from beginning to end. I can still remember a few moments though. I told you not to, silly boy. Everybody has had one, and one is enough for everybody. And the Oompa Loompa character, Lofty, played by Hugh Grant, was arguably the highlight of the entire thing. I've heard some people say that they wanted more of him and that he wasn't in there long enough, but I think they gave us just the right amount of dosage. Even though he initially starts out as a foil for Willy Wonka, he turns out to be someone of use to him. Granted, the uncanny valley effect of his face on the small body is very noticeable at first, but after about maybe a couple minutes, I was able to let it go. As far as some other side characters, Rowan Atkinson's character, the priest who's secretly a chocoholic and serves as the courier of information for the chocolate cartel, I was not expecting it to make me laugh the way it did. I thought it was going to be cringe-inducing at first, but after a while, I actually found myself warming up to it. And I mentioned the chocolate cartel. The other two, what are their names? Scrubbit and Bleacher. The two heads of the hotel, they irritated me. Yeah, I thought they were annoying. And I was wondering if they were going to have a few more obvious references to the original film, maybe with a mention of Grandpa Joe or Charlie Bucket's family or Veruca or any of the other people that we know from the original. I don't remember hearing any of that stuff, and I wouldn't have had a problem with it if they did, but I'm also kind of happy that they didn't do that, relying on fan service too much, because there is a way to correctly use fan service. I know that's been pointed as a problem throughout the last 10 plus years, but if it's done appropriately, which I think in this case it was, I think it's totally fine. All in all, I really had a good time with Wonka, and if you're someone who's really into the story of Willy Wonka, this movie's gonna be a really good time for you. This is also the type of movie that all ages can go to, especially during the time of the holidays. Those are my thoughts on Wonka. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment below and tell me what your thoughts are if you've seen the movie, and as always, see you in the next one.